Ah, well, listen, we'll get that taken care of. So Gyobu, that's honestly a very interesting one to start off with, right? So let's just start with him up there. He does lose to a lot of the more higher tiers, so he can't be triple S. I don't think we need a double S. I think he's honestly A tier, right? Because he wins against most people. But that's more so because he doesn't follow the typical rules. Like, he doesn't deflect, he's kind of like an ape. He just swings. So I'm going to put him in A tier for now. He's got some downsides, but we'll see how he fares as we add some more on there. Ooh, Lady Butterfly. Honestly, I think I'd put her in B or C, right? Because she is. If you put both of her phases, I think she'd be a lot better than she is right now. She's like, a Genichiro if he didn't have Way of Tomoe. And, well, to be fair, though, she did, like, get trashed by the Ministry Elite in her first phase, so maybe I think B tier is pretty good for her right now. Ooh, Genichiro. He's got to be very low, I would say. Separated the Genichiro because performances are so different. Yep. Cause I mean, think about it, right? He is just so consistently never winning. And I just, we can't. Let's put this. I guess there's no like space for it, huh? Yeah, that's fine. Cause right, Genichiro, he did pretty well against Ujinari first phase, but just second phase he just sat there. And him sitting there is why he never wins. If Genichiro Ashina would just take the initiative, his moveset's honestly good enough to carry him pretty far. But if he takes the initiative, and if he ever even gets deflected, then he's already doing great. I think he's the textbook definition of a C tier. He's almost never winning, but he does win sometimes. And he's just middle of the line. He's well rounded, but could be much better. Ooh, Way of Tomoe. See, this is an interesting one because it could be alongside Genichiro because he has less health bars. However, I honestly would put him in B, A, or even S tier. Now, the thing is, right, it really depends a lot on on how much he does the lightning. I honestly feel like A tier is where we gotta put him. Cause he did no, maybe B tier, right? Stream froze? No. I don't think so, did it? It says stream healthy on my end. Yeah, he's definitely, cause right, he lost to Ishin Ashina. but he was like they were on the same line. You know what I mean? I just I don't feel good putting him in the same tier as Lady Butterfly, but he might be though. Actually, you know what? I got an idea for the chat box. Here we go. Just put it right there. There we go. I feel like we have to put him A tier. Because he just... When Way of Tomoe performs, he performs. Like, against Masanaga, he pushed him around. There was no two ways about that. He won that battle. And don't forget he took out Guardian Ape. No, this is Way of Tomoe regular. So this isn't Mortal Blade. But I don't know. Maybe he could take out Guardian Ape. It'd be an interesting one. Yeah, he not only beat Masanaga, he bullied Masanaga. Hello, Andrew. How's it going today? Yeah, honestly, this is a good list to make like videos off of, just to like future videos. Now, Ape. This is a tough one because he lost to Bull very decisively. And he did beat he beat Centipede, right? A is for Ape? I think so, right? Cuz he's he's not been in that many videos. But he always puts up a great performance, and against certain enemies he can bully them. Like, you know, Mortal Blade in their fight, he did throw him around a bit. Like, I see a version of that video where he wins, and it's pretty, yeah. A for Ape, I'll give it that. He's very consistently good, even if he's on the bad side of some engagements. Ooh, Phantom Monk. I don't know, because she beat Great Shinobi. So she's automatically like A or S. But she hasn't been in that many videos. So it's hard to really judge her accurately. I think we're gonna have another A tier. Cause she did beat Owl, but I mean, who knows if she keeps that going forward. I think A tier is a good spot for her right now. And welcome to A tier, Ishin Ashina. Already another A tier. I mean, come on. He's great at deflecting. He's got great variety. First phase, very reactionary, reserved. I mean, we saw him trash the Lone Shadows. Although, remember, at the end of that battle, he started to lose because of his second phase having such long wind-ups and such, you know, he got staggered a lot. And for that, I honestly might put him in B tier. I think depending on the matchup, he's A or he's B. Although he did beat Seven Spears in both phases of his. So, overall he's A. But in certain engagements, he can be B or C. No, not C. Let's be real here. But he's definitely, yeah, he's a B plus. Although he beat Way of Tomoe and Seven Spears, so he's got to at least be A, I would say. Listen, if we were talking about your average Emma, probably, you know, B or C. We're not talking about modded, alright? No, for the sake of Ashina. So she might even be Genichiro tier. She loses a lot, but she's got some like unfortunate things going for her. I think she would easily be B if she didn't have the weaknesses that she has. Like when she blocks and it's a heavy attack, she flies whether she gets hit by it or not. And because of that, she gets hit by a lot more moves than she would otherwise. And it really curbs her damage potential on those. So she could be higher, but she is, I think, better than Genichiro at C. But she is C. Because Genichiro is inconsistent at best, but she's fairly consistent in her whole thing. Remember, the first video I ever made, Lady Butterfly, the first proper tournament video I ever made, Emma versus Lone Shadow, until second phase, she was kinda taking him down. And it's only because of the outdated video making technique that I used that she didn't win that battle. So I think she's a C who can hit into B. But because of how many people have heavy hitting attacks that she can't react to, she has to be a C. Well, she can react to it, but it doesn't work right. Hey Goshao, how's it going? Got a good tier list going so far. Yeah, she's a C plus if there's gotta be a C plus. Great Shinobi. He's gotta be S, right? I don't think I've made more videos on a guy where universally he wins all the time. Seven Spears and Ujinari, punches above their weight. Ashinali is crank. Yeah, for sure. I'll get to them when I get there, but they definitely hit above where they should be. So yeah, Owl, S rank, he wins most of the battles he's in. And when he wins most of the battles he's in, even though he has a lot of mechanics that don't work at all on the enemy. And I think that's very interesting. So if his mechanics did, I feel like he could even be triple S. But as it is now, I think S, he gets beaten, but he takes a lot more wins than he does losses. Great Shinobi is better than Foul Otter and Boss vs. Boss. I'm kinda with you on that one. I'll get to Father Owl, but he doesn't get him done like Great Shinobi. Especially because Great Shinobi has poison, which really helps a lot. The lack of a shuriken in second phase can be an issue for him, but the poison against most enemies that aren't immune, the poison works great at just taking them down. If his anti-item bomb worked, then I could see him being a lot higher. And if his what's it called? Okay, so this is something I've been wondering for a while. When he does his second phase, like whoa, boo, and the massive smoke bomb comes out, sometimes it looks like people are actually being like staggered by that, but I don't know. I think typically it's a negative for him. I've been working on that attack actually. I think I'm gonna try and make it more consistent. Ooh, True Monk. Because I haven't made any videos on True Monk, so I can't really know her true effectiveness. But come on, let's be real. She's not losing to Great Shinobi Owl. I think for the time being, we have to put her in Triple S. We either have to put her in Triple S or we move every single fighter down a rank and get rid of regular S. I've never seen her getting staggered in any boss versus boss. In fact, she literally has no stagger animations. So no matter how hard she gets hit, she won't stagger at all. The only time she staggers is when she blocks. And even that's like, okay, because she's not taking damage from it. And she also cancels out of that stagger pretty quick into an attack. Sword Saint beat her barely, but that was without lightning. Sure. I think I'll just have to make a video on it sometime. Yeah, Sword Saint is a Giga Chat anyways. I think she has to be Triple S. Oh, Owl Father. I might put him in S, right? Cause he's lost every video I've made on him. But I mean, he's up against some real toughies. I would say he's probably like the weakest S, you know what I'm saying? Like he's an S minus. Cause he would, I feel like he would lose to all the other S's, but beat every A rank. Cause he won against Gyobu. He would probably win against Tomu. Well, he would destroy Ape, I feel like. He would also probably beat Ishinashina. And then he lost. No, he didn't fight this one. He might do better. I don't know. Yeah, he's like an A plus or an S minus. I'll put him in A, like front row A seats. Yeah, Ape would be taken down. Ooh, Demon of Hatred. Clearly, he is in meme tier. Nothing about this guy redeems him in the slightest. He's clearly terrible. I mean, come on. Yeah, he honestly should be Demon of Hatred tier. Yeah, you know what? Like, where's the row tier? How do I make new rows? Add a row above. And I added two ones on accident. Demon of Hatred. And of course he's got to be red. Well, this, no, get down there. This can just be orange or something. There we go. Demon of Hatred tier. Because he is just, I mean, come on. He is never going to lose to anybody, no matter what. Pretty much. In a 1v1 situation against anybody who doesn't have terror and stupid resistances, he will win. No matter what. It's just a fact. He has like 75% damage resistance. He's got extra damage even. He deals like 25% more damage. He's got, he's got everything. Ooh. Mortal Blade Genichiro. I guess the real question is he S or is he A? He did beat Great Shinobi Owl that one time, right? But who knows if that's consistent. Did you check out the endgame events in Long May the Shadows Reflect? Like after the Spectral Gyobu? I went really far in Long May the Shadows Reflect, but I'm not sure if I even can do the endgame events, right? Don't you have to do Black Hat Badger's questline? Because I beat Spectral Gyobu, but I couldn't find anything past that. He's gotta be S. Because, okay, so his main weakness is that he only has 2 health bars. Even though he has a lot of health per bar, he's still pretty down there. Hello, Osmond. How's it going? I'm struggling here. 'Cause I feel like he fits more in A, but he consistently hits above his weight class, you know what I mean? I'm gonna put him in S. Way of Tomoe lost to him, but in like the membership video, Way of Tomoe absolutely annihilated him. So I feel like there's a weird relationship going on here. It just feels a little weird that I think it's tough. Because I feel like Way of the Mortal Blade Genichiro isn't far enough ahead of Mortal Blade in terms of his abilities to make Mortal Blade S tier. And yet, you're right, Mortal Blade has killed Ape, not Ishin, none of these guys, but he probably would beat a lot of them. I think the thing with Way of the Mortal Blade, right? Because lightning does a lot of damage, but it doesn't really stagger them. Because when Way of the Mortal Blade, knocks them on the ground, they're on the ground. He can follow that up with something. When Way of Tomoe uses his lightning, it oftentimes doesn't do much. It's damage, and it stops them from hitting him, but it doesn't do that much in of itself. So I think that's the reason why Mortal Draw is typically better than Way of Tomoe. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I feel better about putting him in here instead of A then. Yeah, one Mortal Draw makes them fly around. He does follow up with grabs, but that is typically a downside. Although it does do damage now, but it still puts him behind them, and he doesn't turn around fast enough to not get hit half the time. Sword Saint. A SSS tier, right? Who could he reasonably get beaten by in like the whole game? Cause not really. Is this power list tier or something. It's a boss versus boss tier list. So who like beats everybody else in boss versus boss fights? And if you want to see boss versus boss fights, you've come to the right place. Because that's 99% of my channel. Yeah, Sword Saint has to be triple S tier. 4 bars, lightning. Second phase is nuts. First phase is a good indicator, but I think we'll see. We'll see who is better, True Monk or Sword Saint, but I think Sword Saint is absolutely in triple S. Is this... Wait a second, where did I put Owl Father? Oh yeah, there he is. This is Inner Owl, right? I think this is the picture they used for his reflection. Inner Owl. I'd say he's triple S. He did lose to Inner Genichiro, but he's got that really big like super combo he can do in second phase, and I think that helps out quite a bit. Yeah, especially so Owl Father is kind of, he doesn't have enough defensive going on for him. Inner Owl fixes that, right? Because I mean, think about it. The amount of time Inner Owl Mistraven dodged a huge wave of fire coming from Demon of Hatred. He did it like actually a couple times, like consistently. So it really does help him in his survivability, which Owl Father needs, because especially in his second phase, he actually loses health on his second bar, like max health, which is kind of odd, but it's just like a way the game works. Just like Sword Saint gains health on his second bar. So does Isshin Ashina. So yeah, I'd say he's triple S. He's above Great Shinobi and Mortal Blade, I would say. Ooh, Inner Genichiro. Way of Tomoe. Meme tier, no. He might be S tier, right? Because he triple S? I don't really think triple S though. He's only got 1 bar. Now remember, this is just Inner Way of Tomoe. We haven't put him on his own yet, but this is just that phase. 1 bar. And I don't know. I feel like we haven't seen too much of him. So I mean, it really depends on how different is he from regular Way of Tomoe, and is that change a good thing? Because Sakura Dance is a good move, but it's more effective against people like Isshin, people like Lone Shadows, because the damage level of the first 2 swings isn't high enough to stagger most people. Especially not out of attacks, where it is high enough to stagger Lone Shadows out of a lot of what they do. So it really depends on who he's fighting, whether he's S or he's A, I feel like. I think it really is Inner Way of Tomoe as strong as a Mortal Blade. I think really is the question there. I think I'll leave him in S for now. Because he has... yeah. He's just more aggressive than Way of Tomoe, but Way of Tomoe is already pretty aggressive. I think S is a good, just solid place to put him. Then we have normal Inner Genichiro, who might be B tier. Honestly, because he lost to Ishin, and he would probably lose to... well, he did lose to Inner Owl. And he didn't even get, like, 1.5 bars on him. So probably B tier, right? Because he's definitely better than regular Genichiro, but he loses something that regular Genichiro has. Regular Genichiro is pretty defensive, and that is a good thing. Whereas Inner Genichiro, he's not defensive enough. He's very constantly doing that double bowstring into chasing slice into Sakura dance. And that's not really an entire boss worth combo. FromSoft seems to think so, but it doesn't really work. He's not he's squishy, you know? He needs a little bit of regular Genichiro's defense. Plus, regular Genichiro can pop off. He does have moves that are powerful. Meanwhile, I feel like Inner Genichiro's moves are all standard kind of moves. He doesn't have anything that really knocks people over, you know? Whereas regular Genichiro does. So it's a trade-off that ends favorably in terms of Inner Genichiro, but Inner Genichiro doesn't go past A rank or into Ang rank. A rank. Wait, didn't I do Mortal Blade? No, I did. I did Inner Genichiro versus Way of the Mortal Blade Genichiro. I remember that, actually. I've made a lot of videos at this point. I don't remember all of them all the time. Yeah, it was a bit ago, but I did do that fight. Inner Ishin. Now, this is an inner version that is explicitly better. So is Inner Owl, but Inner Ishin is explicitly better. Because in first phase, he's generally more reactive, but the more important thing is he is that, intro, like, massive mortal draw. And that is a killer in boss versus boss, because people can't avoid the damage, and they get hit multiple times by a lot of damage. And it's not just physical damage, too. It's magic damage, which some people are weak to. Some people are resistant, but not really that many. In fact, that attack would probably do mostly normal damage to Demon of Hatred. He's probably the strongest Triple S rank boss. Because everything about Sword Saint is stronger in Inner Ishin in boss versus boss. Second and third phase are mostly the same, but that sweep into uppercut into the wind circle or a thrust, that is much better, or it's just a great option that he can do. because it's one, hyper armored move, two, guaranteed damage on the sweep, three, probably knocks them over with the spear swing, and then four, hits them again. If it's with a wind circle, it can even knock them over again. So it is just a all-around fantastic move. I mean, you saw the 1K subspecial. The 1K subspecial, he used that move, and it was probably what gave him the biggest lead over Ultimate Genichiro, because it's just so hard to deal with. A sweep, uppercut, and another hit? You have to have an answer for all three. And, you know, boss versus boss, people just don't. You mean the spinning mortal draw? Yeah, the one he does at the very beginning of Inner Ishin. That was Ultimate Ishin though? Yeah, but he has the same move in Inner. I would say Chained Ogre. I'd say he's the first D tier. Because even if his grabs did damage, he's just a big punching bag. Especially if I make it so that people can stagger him. Then he's just like a, you know, he's a big punching bag. He did beat a general, which puts him not in F tier. But yeah. Yeah, his grabs are no problem. Even if they did damage, they're not really an issue. Yeah, I'd say he's in D tier for the time being. Ooh, okay, so we've got Naomori. He's just gotta be F tier, man. He's not got enough going. He's just... he loses to pretty much everyone. And these robeless generals have just a worse moveset than these ones. And even their better moveset, which isn't really all that much. The triple overhead swing boosts these generals to D or C. I would probably go as far as to put him in C. Even though this guy, a general, lost to the aquatic ogre guy, the carp attendant, I still feel like he's in C. Agreed, he's the most beginner general. Yeah, I mean, there's just not much going for Naomori that isn't improved on by everybody else. And HP level 1 Sekiro can survive his hits. That is true. But yeah, I'll put Kurenosuke / Tenzin in C. That triple overhead swing boosts them just so much. They have another hit, a new move, where it's the double uppercut into thrust, which on paper is a good move, but they never get to do it. Whereas they do that triple Ichimonji kind of thing all the time. Oh, okay. Shinobi Hunter. This is an interesting one. I would say Shinobi Hunter. They just okay. Shinobi Hunter lives and dies based on whether his attacks stagger the enemy. They did in Ishin, which is why he got really far into that. They don't for Great Shinobi Owl, which is why he got his ass kicked. I'd say he's a B that can hit into A, but if he fights someone who doesn't get staggered by his moves, then he gets booted down to C. But if he does fight someone who gets hit by his moves, he destroys them. I mean, like Rotary Monk, Lone Shadow, Ishin first phase, which another is a good example of why Ishin's second phase is so necessary. It helps well bound him out. Well-rounded. I'd say B is absolutely where it has to be. They're not on the same level as Emma and Genichiro. Tenzin? I think he is, though. He didn't do too bad against Genichiro. He lost, but he didn't do terribly. He might have even won if that video was made later, since by the time that video came out, by the time that video came out, bosses still couldn't deflect Genichiro's floating passage, or even block it, so I think that might be a huge difference. Ooh, Juzu. Juzu. He did beat Kuranosuke, so he's got to be B tier, right? He did also beat Ministry Elite, that is true. A? You think Juzu's A tier? I don't know. I feel like he just gets... Okay, Juzu has the same mortal weakness Emma has, but a little different. Because Juzu, whereas Emma, even if she guards an attack, if it's high enough damage level, she gets knocked on the ground. Juzu, if he gets hit by an attack that's less than if it's less than an attack that knocks people on the ground, he still gets knocked on the ground by it. So he just, I mean, come on. I did a test fight of Juzu versus Monk, and Juzu hit Monk once in the entire battle. Both bars and the third one, he hit Monk once. The damage level just kept knocking him on the ground over and over and over again. It stops him from being A or above, because he's tanky, but he's not that tanky. He has like the same health as Masanaga, which is, I mean, come on. Masanaga survives a lot, and he's got a real defense, which Juzu does not have. I'd say because he kills generals, he'd probably beat Genichiro. probably beat well, because Shigekichi didn't have his armor yet, so he would probably beat a ogre. He definitely beat Spear Hunter because he doesn't get staggered by that. Inner Genichiro would just let him slap him. Not really sure about Lady Butterfly. I think B. He's a very quintessential B is how I'd put him. Because Inner Genichiro did beat Lady Butterfly. So I think this is, like, this order is how I'd order the Bs so far. Ooh, Blazing Bull. I'd even put him S tier. Because, think about it. He beat Guardian Ape and, well, he didn't beat Guardian Ape and his girlfriend. He beat Guardian Ape, and then he lived long enough to beat his girlfriend in the duo fight and almost take a bar off Guardian Ape proper. That is insane. So he doesn't, unless you break his posture, he doesn't stagger to anything. He has fire. He runs around. He has good health. What is his weakness other than hitting him in the head? He is very great against any boss that he can knock on the ground. And he's even good against bosses that you can't. Such as, because he beat Guardian Ape. He beat Gyobu. I feel like he'd beat, Ishin, maybe Genichiro. He's absolutely S tier. He's not quite triple S tier because he's only got one bar. Well, two, but you know what I mean. But I feel like he's probably the strongest S tier. Because he might be Great Shinobi. He might beat Mortal Blade, and he might beat Inner Way of Tomoe. He's definitely in there. Ooh, 7 Spears. Despite how many videos I've made on 7 Spears, I can't really place him. If he's fighting someone like Gyobu, Ape, someone who doesn't react to his swings, he immediately becomes a lot worse. But if he's fighting someone who does, he's one of the best. He goes toe to toe. He's A. Honestly, 7 Spears is literally the poster child of A tier. I agree. He beats pretty much everyone below him, right? Inner Genichiro probably, Butterfly. I don't know, Juzu. Yep. I feel like he'd beat everybody down below him. And he goes through everybody in A tier. He wins some, loses some. Yeah. I mean, he hasn't fought in Mortal Blade yet, so I'm interested to see how that goes. But yeah, he's the definition of balanced. And if you're balanced, you can't be S tier. I'm sorry, but you can't be S tier. In order to be truly great, you have to be a little bit broken. Maybe if all of his attacks did fire. Maybe if all of his attacks did poison, he'd do a little better, but as he is now, he did beat Great Shinobi, but It was more just because Great Shinobi spent a lot of time eating his attacks. Because Great Shinobi, every time he dodged away, he's just giving Seven Spears more time to swing his weapon, which is his biggest weakness. I'd say he's that solid A, for sure. Ooh, Lone Shadow. Long Swordsman. Going to sleep. Good night, comrade. Good night, Stalin. Good to see you around. He's also one of the most fun fights overall. Yeah. Seven Spears. Definitely one of the best. I think we'd put Lone Shadow Long Swordsman in C tier. Same here, see enough? Hey, have a good night, Goshal. See you around. I think Lone Shadow, Long Swordsman has to be in C tier. He's the weakest Lone Shadow. He's just got nothing specific going for him, and his stats are lower by quite a bit. He has a little bit lower base stats than Genichiro. And you know, all of the other Lone Shadows have the same base stats as Great Shinobi Owl. So it's a huge difference. He has like 3/4 of the stats they have. He's just got nothing else going for him. Being a Lone Shadow without a Vile Hand, wink wink, does actually end up being a bonus because it allows him to be more aggressive after certain follow-ups, which allows him to hit higher than his tier, but he definitely feels like a C tier. He's the best C tier for sure. It probably goes in this order. Ooh, Ashina Elite. Jinsuke Saze. It's tough. Did Seven Spears fight Jinsuke or Ujinare? Can't remember. Either way, I think he's definitely just gotta be B. He's like a B that hits into S tier, you know? Well, not SSS. I mean, come on, let's not be silly now, but he's a B that hits into S. Because he's got good health. No, come on, let's... My bad, I misspoke. I need to, reset after that one. He has terrible stats. Terrible... Well, his damage is okay. Terrible everything. He is bad. He is awful. Except Ashina Cross is insane. So he's even like an F tier who hits into B tier. Stunlock and Chip makes him very good. Yeah. I feel like he'd be Lone Shadow, Long Swordsman, and that's why I put him in B. He's definitely not higher. I think Ujinari is A. Because he's just Jinsuke, but he has health that's reasonable. Good posture. He's everything Jinsuke isn't. And that lets him Jinsuke is a B that hits up to S. Ujinari is an A that hits up to S. I think that's a great way of putting it. Because other than that, they're the exact same. Yeah, Ushinari's fire weakness, it's a weakness, don't get me wrong. But it's not, it doesn't really matter that much in the grand scheme of things. Ooh, Snake Eyes. Not S. I don't even know if I'd put them in B. I might put them in C. 'Cause... no. She did lose to Long Swordsman. And since she lost to Lone Shadow Long Swordsman, I've gotta make her at least C. Well, at most C. And because of that, I think... she can't be D. She's C. D and F are reserved for actually bad fighters. C is reserved for fighters who are, by how it is, poor. But they could all go F, I hate her. Reasonable, have a nice day. No, yeah, she's C. 'Cause she loses to many battles. She goes toe-to-toe with a lot of people, but she never wins. So, because of that, she's gotta be C in my opinion. Oh, Centipede. That's a good one. I think Centipede, right? The thing with him... he's the exact same as Jinsuke Saze. His stats are really bad, but his moveset is incredible. Because remember, he wasn't that far away from beating Guardian Ape. Yeah, I'll put him in B. He's not quite A tier. Like, I feel like most of these people have one thing or another that can take him down. Like, this one just wouldn't react to anything. He did beat Armored Warrior, that is true. But I think that's more of a B hitting into A tier kind of thing. Yeah, he's definitely B tier, but Armored Warrior, like I just said, is next. I think he's A tier, right? He did lose to Centipede, but he lambasted Snake Eyes. I feel like he would win against... I feel like he'd win against a lot of... like, I feel like he might beat Seven Spears. He would probably beat Ujinari and Ishina. Yeah, I'll give him A tier. Cause he destroys the people who he can bully. And if he can bully them, then that automatically puts him pretty high in the tier list. Ushinari would be higher with Steam stats. Jinsuke gave Old Ishin trouble. That is true. So, I mean, because that's the thing, right? The moveset is what's giving Old Ishin trouble. The stats are nothing. And you have to take that into consideration. Because if you just have a good moveset, you can't go that far. Because someone's going to have something that can go past it. In fact, the moveset is what's carrying him to A. Because remember, he was neck and neck with C tier Genichiro up until Genichiro's reason for being in C tier. That's what that makes sense to me. Miss Noble has to go up in Demon of Hatred. He is merely too good to lose to anybody here, so he will be placed there in Demon of Hatred tier. He has 4 hands, 1 to strangle you, 1 to play the flute with, and then 2 more to take you down. Gross. Ew. Auron, S tier, get out of here. Auron, we all know why she's good. She just ignores everything that her opponent has to do. And she just goes and does... The fight is dictated on her. Her invincibility makes it so. And the way she dodges around. And then her damage, posture damage. There's just no other way to put it. Auron is S tier. If only for the fact that she's just a regular 2 health bar pit mini boss that happens to have gimmicks that make her great in boss versus boss. Otherwise, like, because if she had 3 health bars, then maybe she'd be hitting up into S tier. It's a triple S. Because she does have, she's even got like a Demon of Hatred mechanic where she takes less damage from people who aren't the player. She's got a lot of things that put her in S, I think. Like, it's just a easy... Masanaga with how she lost to Ujinari, even Jinsuke. She didn't lose to Jinsuke, right? Well, as I said, there are B and A tiers that hit up to S. By virtue of their moveset and the fact that they deal dark damage, they, by their nature, will hit higher than where they are placed. Oh yeah, Masanaga, but with... Masanaga, but with his candy. A tier. He's just a very solid fighter all around. Because, you know, the thing is, right, he's got poison. Many videos with him go like this. It starts out, it's fairly even, or Masanaga is losing. He goes into second phase, he's like, oh, I'm dying. And then he pops Yashiraiku's sugar. And then it completely flips the whole battle. That sugar makes him hit higher than he ought to. So I think he's an A tier. Because remember, he did also... He didn't do very good against Lone Shadow Long Swordsman. Like, these... Long Swordsman did much better than I thought he was going to do. Because remember, Long Swordsman has 3/4 of the stats this guy has. And in that video, it was pretty even up until fairly close to the end. So, yeah, I mean, the thing with all Lone Shadows, right, is that they're weak to people like Shinobi Hunter. Even without the thrusts, Shinobi Hunter's thing is that he has many small hits. And Lone Shadows react to those small hits, whereas many other fighters don't at all. And so that's what makes them vulnerable to getting bullied by people like Way of Tomoe, Inner Genichiro, this guy, Centipede. The many smaller hits really add up. And I think that's why I can't place Masanaga past A. He's got a lot going for him. And he can win higher than he is. But he probably typically doesn't. Like, if you ran it 100 times, I feel like he would lose to Orin, 55 times, Just because someone wins once doesn't mean they will always win. Masanaga beat Orin and tied to 7 spear. You chance lose first and then win the tournament. That is true. I mean, right next to 7 spears where I put him. They're very similar fighters with similar weaknesses and strengths. But overall, I might even put Masanaga above 7 spears. If only because he just is more reactable. 7 spears, often too slow. If you can counter 7 spears, he's not as strong as he ought to be. So I think Masanaga is the king of the A tier. Vile Hand. I want to put him in B tier just to have the Lone Shadows in different tiers. But like, I'll put it because I don't feel like Vile Hand would lose to Genichiro. Wait, no, because Masanaga did. And then got destroyed by Tengu. You know what? Yeah, I'll put Vile Hand in B rank. Because he's Masanaga without Yashiraiku being able to save him. You know what I mean? Masanaga would lose a lot without Yashiraiku. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you put a Vile Hand's friend in there to make it a 2v1, then he will win, but 1v1, Masanaga wins, because Masanaga and Vile Hand have pretty much the same stats, so that is pretty much the only difference. Getting to the end here, so Dog Masanaga. It's gotta be S tier, right? The dogs can be a liability. It's true. But I don't feel like they would be normally. Because even if he summons them and they all die immediately, is that really a huge loss? He's still a lone shadow with high stats, and he doesn't use the Vile Hand, so he's got more aggression than his predecessor would. Well, Masanaga Yashiraiku. Yeah, Masanaga Dog. The dogs really help out in just diverting the attention. Like as you saw in the Shigekichi video, many times the dogs would hit him, he'd turn around, and then Masanaga would take that opportunity to kick him, maybe even knock him on the floor sometimes. I think that's why he's got to be S tier. Because he transcends the just 1v1 fighter who is strong and has gimmicks by virtue of his high stats, good moveset, and 3 dogs that help him out of jams. Okami leader Shizu. Well, Honestly, I feel like she'd be F tier instead of meme tier. It really... No, okay, I can't do that. Cause she gets staggered, right? She has 1 health bar, gets staggered by pretty much everything. The only saving grace is lightning, but the real question is, will she even get to use it? All someone has to do is walk up to her and swing occasionally. That's all they have to do to beat her. And even then, they don't have to be that aggressive. No health bar, you mean? She has a health bar. A health bar pip. She has 1. You just gotta breathe on her and she staggers? Yeah. She could be good, but she's not at all. In any way, shape, or form. Shigekichi. Now that is honestly a great question. I feel like he might even be triple S tier. He's got 2 health bars, which makes him weaker of the bunch, but he has a lot of health. Fire. He's got eternal guarding from the front, which, as you saw with, Gyobu, Masanaga, everybody he's ever fought, is a huge liability. Wait. No, not a liability, but a good part. A good thing. Smiles to Shigekichi for that one. He has everything he needs to have to be a triple S tier. You really couldn't make him stronger than he is right now. You would have to make the guard all around him. There's no other way you could nerf him. There really isn't. He has no downsides. And that guard from the front eliminates the biggest weakness drunkards have, which is their defense. So he never gets launched from the front. He blocks on the front and gets to hit. The thing is with drunkards, even when they can block, they typically don't. They just hit it sometimes, get hit sometimes. So that not being an issue at all, someone can just be trying to hammer against his front and he's drinking, he's getting ready to swing. He's just better than S tier. You can't reasonably put him in here. He has to be triple S. Ooh, Ministry Elite. I might put him B rank. Because, he gets trashed by 7 spears, right? So, he gets trashed by 7 spears, but does do pretty well against Vile Hand. It really depends. The whole thing with them, can they bully their opponent? Yes, they win. No, they don't. So they bullied Vile Hand and won. Couldn't bully Juzu and lost. Couldn't bully 7 spears and lost. So, I think that's really how it's gotta be. They did tie with the General, which is a big negative impact on his reputation. But I think B is a good place for him. They have the gun, they never use it, but they just don't have enough going for them in general to prop them into A. But they are definitely solid fighters, which means that they are in B and might be like they're high B. They're like a B plus. Monkey, the Master Ape. Thing is with Master Ape, right? He comes out on a lot of bad matchups. Lost to Snake Eyes, Emma, Lone Shadow. He beat what? The Nightjar? It's not really a bonus, but he could be good. He just loses all the time. I think I might put him in C. Yeah, right? Because the thing is, he doesn't really fit in D. I forgot to add Nightjar. Don't worry, I saw Nightjar in my video list and just decided not to tell you. It wasn't worth it. He's just a guy. He doesn't hit high enough to be further than a C, but he doesn't hit low enough to be Naomori or Chained Ogre tier, in my opinion. Yeah, he'd be F tier anyway. Ooh, Rotary Monk. Might be another B tier. He did beat Lone Shadow Long Swordsman. That is true. But the thing is, right? Rotary Monk lives and dies based on how well he's able to keep his distance. So, if he can't keep his distance versus someone like Shinobi Hunter, then he just dies. Although I wonder about this matchup. Who would Rotary Monk win versus Snake Eyes? I don't know. Snake Eyes? She shoots, but she doesn't really shoot, you know what I mean? She hardly does it sensibly. So I'd say Rotary Monk is B tier. He did beat... Was it Ujinari or Jinsuke? I think it's Jinsuke. So he's a solid B. But because of how weak he is when he jumps, and how weak he is to getting staggered and whatnot, I mean, we all remember Rotary Monk versus Seven Spears, right? He got trashed. So, I guess it's gotta be that. He's good. And he can probably hit higher than he should. But he doesn't have enough going for him otherwise. I like this picture for Jinzaimon. He's absolutely A tier. He might even be the strongest A tier. Although it really depends on his matchup versus Seven Spears or Masanaga. Because he did beat Long Swordsman pretty well. And he put up a great fight versus Orin. He's just very high A. The red eyes add so much damage and so high stats, especially his red eyes, which give him more extra health and more damage than other red eyes. Like, he's got a higher boost to his stats than Ujinari does. So, yeah, pure stats bring him to high A tier. And as well as the general moveset isn't that bad. It's just they get hit all the time and then they get train wrecked all the way to death. But if they have really high stats, You know what would make him really godlike? Is if he didn't react to staggers like eating a red lump does. That would make him the strongest easily. Strongest A tier, he'd be S tier for sure. He's a general with no weaknesses, pretty much. He doesn't have any true bad qualities that prevent him from being up there with the rest of them. And the last one on the list, Shigenori Yamauchi, the strongest man on the planet. I'd say D tier. He beat the Nightjar, so he's not true bad. He almost beat Jinsuke. He's weaker than Naomori. He has a unique moveset, which props him up higher than Naomori. Because the thing is, right? Naomori is just a general with a bad moveset. Like, he's restricted. This guy, Shigenori, his first phase is pretty defensive, but he typically tries to use heavy strikes, which is it's good. In second phase, he blocks, which is something very rarely do people actually do ever. And because of that, he's gonna perform a lot better than you might expect. Because, you know, there are attacks that people just have trouble deflecting or blocking. So if he's blocking by default, and especially because he blocks, and then he immediately follows up with a strong slash, which can stagger them. And I mean, he didn't almost beat Jinsuke. He got close. And that's because he would block Ashina Cross and give a strong counterattack. One of the big reasons Jinsuke won is because he would occasionally do like a dodge, and he dodged well. I feel like, but he does have poor stats. That is a unavoidable truth. And because of that, even though his moveset's pretty good, just like Jinzaemon is A tier because of his stats, Shigenori is D tier because of his stats. He can't take a hit, and that's it. He can't. So I would say this is the final ranking. Obviously, he's in meme tier. So, yep. 8, Demon of Hatred's got his own tier. We got Inner Ishin, True Monk, Ishin, Sword Saint, Inner Owl, and Shigekichi for triple S. For S tier, we have Fire Bowl. Oh yeah, there's no Sakura Bowl. I haven't made a video on them, so that's fair, but they're probably about the same place as Bull. Maybe A tier because the Fire Stagger helps Bull out, especially against people who he can't just bully. So Fire Bull, Great Shinobi Owl, Inner Genichiro, Genichiro Mortal Blade, Orin, Masanaga with dogs for S tier. A tier has Masanaga with Yashiraiku, Jinzaemon 7 Spears, Father Owl, I forgot Gyobu, Mayamo, Guardian Ape Ishin Ashina, Way of Tomoe, Corrupted Monk Phantom, Jinzaemon and Armored Warrior for A, Vile Hand, Ministry Elite, Juzu, Shinobi Hunter, Rotary Monk, Inner Genichiro, I was gonna say Way of Butterfly, But Butterfly, Jinsuke Saze, Centipede, those are B. Long Swordsman Emma, Genichiro, the generals with red cloaks, Tenzin Yamauchi and Kuranasuke Matsumoto. Snake Eyes and Master Ape for C tier. Ogre, Shigenori for D. Neo Mori for F. And Miss Noble and Okami Leader Shizu for meme tier. They're worthless. Yeah, I'd say that's a good tier list. Everybody here seems pretty accurate to how I would put it, considering I just put them there. Yeah. Tier list on mods soon? Maybe. Maybe.